You heard what I said? Chill, chill. Y'all know I don't normally do this, right? So all I ask is you rock with me one time. Let go. Now that's a banger. Oh Lord, happy Tuesday. I'm gonna give y'all a minute to come in. I got my co-host with me, Rue Paul. That's my co-host for tonight. um, the topic for tonight is know the difference, and it's gonna be a really good show because, listen, half the time I don't know about you. Everywhere I go, I get asked so many questions. You know how it is. Once people figure out you're LGBT, they're like, well, then you're the Bible for everything LGBTQ, and we need to know everything. So tonight, I'm going to go over all the different things in reference to being LGBT. And we're going to do some comparisons so people could kind of know the difference. Now, what I mean by comparisons, I'm talking about the difference between a stud and a femme, a trans man and a a regular male. We just gonna get into like the different comparisons because people within the LGBT community as well as the heterosexual community do not get the difference. So I figured tonight we'll discuss that and we'll go over exactly what that means. Like, what is the difference? Why is it so much diversity when it comes to the LGBTQ community? So, as usual on my page, I always post a bunch of random questions. And I laugh because every now and again someone comes on, they cuss me out, I get a random troll. I never know what's going to happen when I post the questions, but I don't mind. I do it anyway because you never know what someone doesn't know or what they do know. So I'm going to read a couple of those comments. Tonight's going to be an interesting night. What do you think, RuPaul? You see, RuPaul is on the side of me. Ru probably know all the answers to every question that's out there. So if you're watching, say hello. And if you have a question as to knowing the difference within the LGBT community, put it out there and let's do it. Let's get it out the way. That way we can move on to other shows and talk about different topics. So I'm going to give y'all an opportunity to come on in because what is this, my third show back? And I don't think everybody kind of know that I'm actually back. They dip in or they come in later. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know you was on. Well, a bitch is back. Three shows in, so you might have to go back and watch. Last week's show was a little bit touchy. It was about the closet and the real definition of the closet, like why people actually are in it. It's not always about being sneaky. Was a great topic. I gave you several reasons why, and people that did watch, I hope it did open your eyes and you shared that information with other people that are misinformed. But yeah, so tonight's topic, know the difference. Know the difference. I asked on my page, what's the difference between a man and a woman? Which I found very interesting, and I will read y'all some of the comments that was actually put out there in reference to what is the difference. Let me look on my page. And of course, you know, you get the usual the genitalia version. Oh, the difference between a man and a woman. A woman has a vagina. A man has a penis. I just got all kinds of responses, and I'm like, okay, maybe we really don't know. We really don't know. I'm going to give you my perspective, but I'm going to read you the comments that was actually placed on my page if I could find it, because I have so much stuff that comes up on my page. It's unreal the amount of stuff that's on here. Okay, let me find it. Oh my god, I have so much shit on my page. I'm sorry, y'all. Trying to get to the content of the question. What is the difference between a male and a female? Okay, here it is. So I got 11 comments. What's the difference between a male and a female? If you're just now joining me, say hello. And tonight's topic is know the difference. So we're just going to be comparing the types of people that's within the LGBT community and kind of clearing up exactly why these two different people, what they are, why they're different for people that actually don't understand. So right now we're talking about what's the difference between a male and a female. And the responses I got was genitals. I got somebody said everything. One lady said a dick. Uh Angel said physically genitalia. I'm unable to speak or spiritually on a spiritually and soulfully because I've only experienced female as I'm a cis woman. Somebody put up their estrogen and testosterone. All of these are interesting concepts when it comes to the difference of men and women. I noticed that people did place like estrogen, testosterone, genitalia. I'm gonna give you my opinion when it comes to the difference between a man and woman. I believe that the difference is whatever you agree that difference is. We have to remember that there are more than two genders, and there are several different types of people within the LGBT community. The intersex, they have both genitalia sometimes, and how do you dictate the difference when you're intersex? So for me, the definition of a man and a woman has nothing to do with what's between your legs. It's more or less what's between your two ears. It's an agreement that you made with yourself. You decided that this is what I am. And if you look at it from that approach, then you could kind of understand the LGBTQ community a bit better. When you look at being a man and a woman as a personal agreement with yourself versus saying my genitalia makes me this. Now, I want you to just take a little journey with me, right? Because it sounds a little crazy, but take a journey with me. Think back to when you was 3, 4, 5, right? And you were out there, you were playing with your cousin Jenny, and Jenny probably played with a truck, and you had a cousin named Don, and Don probably played with a baby doll, and you probably played with all of them because you didn't care. You just enjoyed playing with your cousins. When somebody asks you, are you a boy or girl? 9 times out of 10, you probably just said, I'm whatever your name is. I'm me. So this is why I say that we make personal agreements with whether we're a man or a woman because we don't come pre-programmed that way. We don't actually know until someone tells us. It's all in the programming. We're a blank slate. So if no one actually tells you, hey, look, you a boy or you a girl, then you would just grow up being a pomosexual. Not a homo, but a pomo with a P. A pomosexual. You will grow up that way. And basically, with a pomosexual, it's a person that's not identifying with any label. You would just grow up, and whoever you were interested in, that's who you would deal with. You would basically live a labelless life. It wouldn't be about, oh, I like this I only like females or males, because none of that would exist. Just to go back for historical reference, I don't know if anyone knows it or not, but before the 1900s, all of us were called girls. Every last one of us. Boy didn't wasn't even a term. If you were what is it, prepubescent, you were a girl. Everyone was hey girl. So these are terms, boy, girl, that we agree with. And if you can look at gender that way, then you could kind of understand the LGBTQ community and how it works. I know it's a huge pill to swallow. I know people that are watching now and people that will watch later, you're probably going to be like, okay, I just, listen, don't take my word for it. Go and research. Um, do some things outside of just reading whatever your religious manuscript is. Go outside of it and you'll learn a lot about us. You'll learn a lot about the terminology, just to be a little bit more deeper, just to go a little bit deeper. I like to look at it this way. Everything about us, the government controls our food, our health care, how we work, how we live. And this terminology that we use is another way to control and have us in a box, to me. It's in the box. You're dictating who we are based on visual things instead of allowing a person to become or be who they're going to be. Some of us don't fit into the two box lane. So that's control. Being LGBT upsets that system. And that's why I feel a lot of people dislike it. Because in order to understand us, you have to kind of rethink the social norms that you were programmed with. So it's a bit more than sexual reasons why they don't like us. We're very thought provoking people. We provoke thought. You have to really think about and challenge some of the things that was ingrained into you to understand our community. So I'm going to move on from the man and the woman aspect of it. But if I had to define man or woman, and tonight we don't have to necessarily agree with one another, but based off of the community, it's an agreement that you make with yourself. And so is your orientation. I think each person dictates that. They control that. You think outside of the box when it comes to that. Now, I've been asked several times, what's the difference? And let me just go to this screen, especially by heterosexual people once they find out I'm in the community. What's the difference between a trans woman and a drag queen? I always get that question. Now, to me, being in the community, who can't tell the difference? Like, I can tell, you can tell the difference. But for others, it's such a dramatic, it's dramatic for them. Like, oh my God, I can't figure it out. I don't know which one is which. Both of them look like guys with hair and this and that and the third. But Like I just told you, that's that pre-programmed mind state that have you thinking that way. And in order for you to understand our community, you have to exit out of that thinking. A drag queen can be anyone. Anyone could be a drag queen. A drag queen is a profession. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a form of entertainment. It's That's what it is. A woman. I don't know if many of you ever saw it, but a woman could be a damn drag queen. But for some reason, it's not that defined for people. But it is that defined for me, I guess, because I'm in the community. But again, a drag queen can be anyone. Anyone could be a drag queen. It's a fucking profession. I know female drag queens. I know male drag queens. I know trans people that are drag, that go in drag. I mean, that's all it is a profession. A trans woman is something totally different. And it's actually insulting to compare a trans woman with a drag queen. But for tonight, I'm doing it because I think that people need to understand what's going on and exactly what that looks like. If you can catch my drift. Because a lot of people just don't know. Now, a trans woman, she is on her process. This is a person, remember, I just said to you, being a man or a woman is something that you actually decide for yourself. You make an agreement with yourself as to what your gender is, your orientation. In the instance of a trans woman, she's a male by birth, but internally she's a female. That's that decision she made upstairs. And so then she transitions to become a female woman, whatever that looks like for her. She may go through all the surgeries, she may not, but she presents as a female. That's her life, that's who she is. She's a woman. That's a total different thing from a drag queen. Remember, one is a profession. The drag queen goes home and take all of that stuff off. The trans woman is a woman. Just like the woman that birthed you into the world, just like the woman that you may date, just like the women that you see on the streets. She's a woman. That's the difference. But again, I get a lot of questions. And like I said at the top of the show, being a man and a woman is an agreement. A man or a woman is an agreement that you make with yourself. And your sexual orientation is an agreement that you make for yourself. All of this stuff being connected to your genitalia does not fit. And it specifically when you're talking about the LGBTQ community. If you go at it from that angle, you'll never understand it. Two separate things. So that's the trans woman and that's the drag queen. So let's go on to the next one that I'm always asked about. Now, I know this sounds silly, and a lot of people just looking and staring at me say hello. And it's okay to ask questions. And again, I know it probably sounds outrageous. But I'm going through this because, like I said, once someone figures out that I'm LGBT, I get asked all sorts of questions. So I'm going to do it tonight and give you the answers. The difference between the stud, and the trans man. The same thing with the trans woman. A trans man is a man. This is a person that decided, that made an agreement with themselves. Even though my body presents with this genitalia of what society says is a woman, I made an agreement with myself that I'm not, I'm a man. And this is not working for me. So that person goes through the process to become who they are internally. This agreement. Now remember, their orientation is something totally different. And I think that's probably be a little bit too deep, but to be on the surface level, they're a man. A stud is not a man. Even though you see a stud in masculine gear, well, according to society, masculine gear, because to me, clothes doesn't have a gender. I don't know where we get this from. I don't understand it. I remember being a teenager and we transition and we change when it comes to our style of dress. When I was a young girl, I wore boy pants, boy tops, boy sneakers. I wore baseball caps, all of those things. Just some people just don't stop wearing it. They're more comfortable in that attire. That does not make them a man. And I don't understand why people would suggest or believe that they are. Otherwise, it's just a female that's comfortable on the quote in the quote unquote male clothing. But to me, again, clothes are genderless. We give clothes gender. I don't get it. So the difference is trans man. Well, I'm sorry. The trans man is a male. And I'll repeat it. A male. Made a decision. She was born a woman. Made a decision within herself. Remember, being a man or woman is an agreement that you make with yourself. She decided that regardless of what's downstairs, I am a man. And started living her life as a male. Trans person does not have to have the full surgery to qualify to be a male. Trans person doesn't have to prove themselves to you. It's a respect thing. If a person decides up here that that's who they are, that's who they are. That's what it is. Trans man is a man. A stud is a woman. She's a lesbian woman. And for societal purposes, she presents masculine. She's more comfortable in men's attire, okay? We'll call it men's attire, even though clothes don't have no gender. But that's the difference between a stud and a trans man. Know the difference. That's why it's called this tonight. Knew the difference. And you know what? Let me read some of these darn comments. Y'all gonna laugh. Me and this daggone page. Let me read y'all some of these comments that was put out there. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I do this show so, we can all learn from one another. But if you just like staring at me, that's fine too. Now let me go to this piece right here where I asked the question, what's the difference between a stud and a trans man? I got 15 comments. I'm going to read it to you. Amethyst Diamond said, a stud is a butch lesbian, a trans man is a man, which is correct. B Red said trans men take hormones to fully become a man. Studs dress like one. Jay Johnson responded, B Red, not all trans men medically transition. One can transition socially only. And that's what I was just basically saying to you at the top of the show. Being a man or a woman is agreement that you made with yourself, and so is your orientation, not what society dictates or decides that's who you're going to be as a person. And that's what makes the LGBTQ people dangerous, because we provoke thought and we're going against the system, because we're supposed to exist in the binary and we exist outside of it. In it, outside of it, we bend it. Nikki Johnson said trans men is masculinity. Studs are women that perform masculine. I see this whole thing about gender roles. I don't necessarily roll with, but for lack of a better word, I guess in order for everybody to understand, I guess you would have to use the terms masculine and feminine, because I know aggressive females, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're being masculine. It's just in your nature to be dominating. That's just your nature. But, it's again, like I said at the top of the show, when you were a child, you just programmed with so many things that it's hard to kind of go through this cesspool and separate yourself and separate your mind from what you've been taught. Just even on down to gender, right? Because according to society, your genitalia decides if you're a man or a woman. It decides your orientation, and then your gender also just dictates what kind of traits you're supposed to have. So aggressive woman technically shouldn't exist, because that's a male trait. You're supposed to be submissive as a female. Just it's too much. It doesn't even make sense. We need to always make it make sense. We got to throw that stuff out. Angel said one is a male, one is a female. Danny said it's a mindset. And I kind of roll with that. Okay, so Fancy Girl said trans men consider themselves most as straight or bi, and studs are lesbians. Fancy Girl, a trans man can actually be gay. He's a man. Remember, your gender and stuff don't dictate your sexual orientation. He's a man and he can be a gay man. Just like a trans woman can be a lesbian. Two different things. But I thank y'all all for y'all comments. I really thank y'all for y'all comments. But I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get into this music video by T-Stacks. I love this song. I play it frequently, but I don't want y'all to go anywhere. It's called Cross Me. T-Stacks is, in fact, a trans man. Just in case you're wondering what one looks like, you're about to see now. And I will be back after this video.
When that nigga cross me, boy, love me. We even hit the trap house with the shotty. We screen ride or die, now you behind me. Now you behind me. When that nigga cross me, boy, love me. We even hit the trap house with the shotty. We screen ride or die, now you behind me. Now you behind me. Closest niggas hating, they ain't talking about it. Breaking bread with the rest, they set your crumbs for around you. How'd I Trust this nigga, never making moves without you. But you was shicey sneaking plays, you was stupid wildin'. Iffy nigga, I was never supposed to worry about you. The gang said you talking, damn, I swore it wasn't true. But you tricked me, nigga. This shit hate, cause you lazy, I don't get it, nigga. Moving funny, switch the ways, acting different, nigga. My past was trigger, you so goofy, I ain't feeling it. The way you hurt me, caught me slipping, I can't deal with it. We was thicker than some blood, now it's liquid shit. The way you had the shorty line, I could've killed the bitch. I'm sick of it, I put you on and now it's fuck this shit. You was chillin' with the ops, I know they hate me really. Now you begging, pleading, screaming, come and kill this nigga. I'm done believing all the lies, I can't believe you tripping. Through all the ups and downs, I came through for you. Intentions wasn't pure, don't feel a damn thing for you. Sorry sucker, this the ending for you. And I'm tired of people acting like I'm careless. When a nigga cross me, boy love me. We even hit the trap house with the shotty. We screen ride or die, now you behind me. Now you behind me. When that nigga cross me, boy love me. We even hit the trap house with the shotty. We screen ride or die, now you behind me. Now you behind me. Can't care too much, they think you saw fine with the shit. You burned the ruin, how you feelin', nigga, this is it. I hope you starving, I won't feed you, you can drink my piss. These hollow tips patiently waiting just to split your wig. Brain matter, splatter, picture hers in a timely manner. Wrote your eulogy inside it, it had snake plaster. Thought this friendship would've lasted, but it turned tragic. I'd rather see you in the grave or burn your ass. When that nigga cross me, boy love me. We even hit the trap house with the shotty. We screen ride or die, now you behind me. Now you behind me. When that nigga cross me, boy love me. We even hit the trap house with the shotty. We screen ride or die, now you behind me. Now you behind me.
Hey, I'm back. That was T Stacks Cross Me. Um, I'm sorry. He is a trans male. I hope y'all enjoyed that video. Now, let's get back to our subject. If you just joining me, the topic for tonight is Know the Difference. And so far, I went over exactly what's the difference between a trans woman, a drag queen, a stud, and a trans man. And now we're about to go into the difference between a femme and a stud. All right? So, the stud and the femme. What's the difference? Virtually nothing. They are lesbians, both feminine. The stud, again, the same with the trans male. The stud may wear or present. You know, I use these. That mean my societal shit when I do that. They may wear male clothing, quote unquote. Because again, to me, clothing doesn't have a gender. I've wore it all in my lifetime. The femme will wear, I guess, what you would call female clothing. But again, clothing doesn't have gender. And I think every day more and more society is proving that with more of these males wearing female clothing. Or so they think they're wearing female clothing because, again, clothing doesn't have gender. So what does it look like? A stud, you will see them with the sneakers, the fitted. They may even have on the, I don't know, the boxer briefs. I don't know, suit jackets, ties. Catch them with the brim hat, like you see there. Probably have like the buzz cut. Another popular hairdo is the dreads. In which a femme wears dreads also. So, another attribute assigned to a stud, that might be the one that wears the strap or has the book bag. But then I know femmes that we're have the straps with the book bags. So I mean, all lesbians, all lesbians. That's why it cracked me the fuck up when people say, "Oh, two studs shouldn't be together." I don't get it. I don't understand. Take them clothes off, two ladies. Two ladies getting it. So we need, like I said, we need to get over it. If we weren't in the beginning, 3, 4, 5 years old, programmed the way we are about sex, gender, orientation, and all of that, again, we will all be homosexuals with a P, not homo, po. We wouldn't have any of those labels defining us, and we just would be whatever your name was, and you would conduct yourself however you conducted yourself, and no one would judge you. But that's just a perfect world, right? And we don't exist in that. So the difference between a stud and a femme is virtually nothing. They're both women, just dressed in different attire for the most part. That's the difference. And if you assign any other things to that, then you might want to take a deeper look at yourself. Because it's two women. Now, this is my favorite one. Oh, this is my favorite one. A femme male and a gay male. Now, this one right here just fucks me all the way up. You ever be out and you always hear a man, what's wrong with him? I'm just making myself larger. What's wrong with him? Why is he behaving like a girl? Again, all this idea of what a girl behaves like or what a boy behaves like, that's just all pre-programmed. And certain traits assigned to females and certain traits assigned to males, that's just, again, all pre-programmed. Clothing don't have a gender. The difference between these two men, one thing, is the orientation, the agreement that they decided for themselves. Your boy over here, he likes females. Right? Now he dresses like, well, Lil Nas X dresses like Prince, really. But he dresses like, they dress similar. Let's put it that way. They dress similar. Lil Nas X is a gay male. He likes men. He dates men. That's his preference. That's the agreement that he made with himself. Prince, he likes females. That's the agreement that he made with himself. Somewhere along the line, 6, 7 years old, I'm a male. I enjoy females. But I like, according to society, I like these clothes. I like this style of dress. Lil Nas X, I'm a male. Somewhere 6 years old, he made an agreement with himself and he said, listen, I'm a male. And the verdict, I don't know. Maybe he might change that or whatever. But so far from what I'm reading, how you doing, Brenda? So far from what I'm reading about Lil Nas X, and I've been following him for a minute, he made an agreement with himself that he's a male. His orientation is gay. But he enjoys wearing, quote unquote, what we would say female clothes, on which, again, I've been saying it for the last 40 minutes. Clothing does not have a gender. As much as we would like them to, clothing does not have a gender. Behaviors do not have a gender. How you doing, Raphael? None of this stuff have a gender. So the difference between these two dudes, the feminine dude and the gay dude, that's it. Their sexual orientations are two different things. Which I love this picture because it defies a lot of these societal thoughts, right? They defy it. We know Prince is a fucking ladies' man. We know it. But if we went by these thoughts that we carry, that a man, your genitalia dictates that you're a man, and because you're a man, you're supposed to like women, and because you're a man, you're not supposed to wear a certain type of clothing. He defied all of that. So it fucks me up. I mean, when I see people, it fucks me up. Now, I don't know if Prince could cook and clean and do all of that other shit that people assign to women. I don't know that. But he's definitely a heterosexual male. So that's the difference. That feminine male that you think, because he's probably moving his arm a certain way, or he could do certain things, or he dressed a certain, he just may not even be homosexual. You just judge that person. But yeah, I love this photo. I love it. So the difference, one is gay and one is straight. Has nothing to do with your clothing. Has nothing to do with your genitalia. Know the difference. And in a case like this, if you confused, just ask the person. Are you what's up, man? How you doing? I don't have nothing against you, but are you gay? Instead of whispering. Because he may not be. He just really may not be. So let's go on to the next one. And this one, I was just being fucking petty because I can be petty. Petty, petty, petty. So on this slide, I know your difference. What's the difference between a pedophile and an LGBT person? Because again, people get the gay fucked up, and these thoughts. What is the difference? LGBT person, which is me, and a pedophile. I'll tell you if you don't know or if you're confused. A pedophile is a person that has a sexual disorder, dysfunction. They sleep with children. They don't necessarily have to be within the LGBT community. But a lot of people like to compare a pedophile with an LGBT person. I see it all the time. When you watch the news and you see the pedophile priest, they say, oh, the gay priest. No, he's a fucking sex offender. He's a sex offender. And if you look at the statistics of a pedophile, they're majoritarily heterosexual. So let's just get and put that out there. Know the difference. A LGBTQ person is sexual encounters between two consenting adults. So I don't even understand why people even have so much to say or feel some kind of way about our community. When you can deal with this fucker, we can get together and get over us and deal with this. Cause he's this guy right here, a total mess. And I hope everybody is following this case. Cause he did some real foul shit. But everybody's more concerned about him being LGBT. I don't know if anybody actually goes on YouTube and listen to different commentary. I do. I listen to a lot of black commentary, entertainment, and everything right now that's going on is just talking about the LGBT community and Little Nas X and everything, and talking about, I don't know, every time an LGBT person pops up in the media and they're doing something big, we have to, go in and start talking about pedophiles. And I'm like, yo, Little Nas X is doing him and being him. What the fuck? Why do we gotta bring in pedophiles when it comes to talking about a LGBT person? Now I know, okay, Raphael said educate people on who this guy is, please. Well, that's one of your hip hop heroes. That's African Bambaataa from the Zulu Nation, and we see rampant news about and I'll get into depth because since this is the Know Your Difference, we keep seeing rampant news about Little Nas X, but we don't see too much about African Bambaataa. Now, African Bambaataa is an international pedophile, and he was on trial. His trial started last week, I believe. Several people that was yeah, Alicia. Several people that was a part of the Zulu Nation have come forward and allege that they were raped by African Bambaataa. And African Bambaataa sex trafficked a lot of children. So wherever he had a concert or show, he was sleeping with these babies. And if their parents were not so great, he would take these babies and travel with them and pass these kids around within the Zulu Nation. It would be the men sleeping with these babies, and it would be the women sleeping with these babies. I suggest that you go on YouTube, or you could just type in African Bambaataa. It's not really being shown on the news. I don't know why it's not showed so much. While you're also looking him up, you can check into this guy. His name is dang, what is his name? Is it Poppy? Poppy something. I can't think of his name. And he had a full account of what African Bambaataa. Also in the news is your brother Polite. If you like the conscious community, Brother Polite he's a pedophile. And his thing is he has multiple wives and he likes to fuck with their children or someone close to them, their child, however he get access to them. Now, what African Bambaataa and Polite have in common is Dr. York. I don't know if anybody knows who Dr. York is. I'll give you a little bit of background. You might want to look him up. Dr. Malachi York. Sometimes in the 70s and 80s, he opened up a compound. Hey, Matt. He opened up a compound somewhere in New York. And he managed to trick several families to come and stay up there with him. And he was raping, like a 40-something-year-old man was sleeping with children as young as 8 or 9 years old. The philosophy was biblical. If you had a menses, you were a woman. So he would rape you, as well as him sleeping with African Bambaataa and Brother Polite. So these are all the I'm just going to say alleged, because I'm not a police, I'm not a detective, but I keep up on things. So you might want to look into that. And I had to put this in the Know Your Difference segment because, again, when people think of pedophiles, they automatically think about a LGBT person, such as myself. And I know I'm not a pedophile. Another thing when it comes to pedophiles and the LGBT, common thing people like to believe. The reason why a person is LGBT is because they were raped. And because they were raped, they become pedophiles. No, know the difference. Something totally different. It's people that have been raped in the community. That does not necessarily make them a pedophile or inspire them to become one. Hell, there have been people that have been raped because they were LGBT as a young child and the parents knew it. Doesn't inspire you to become a pedophile, doesn't make you want to be one. So know the difference. But yeah, look up African Bambaataa. Disappointing. Brother Polite, disappointing. All of that stuff is going on now, and all y'all seeing on TV is stuff about COVID. But a lot of things are coming out in reference to sex trafficking with this guy. Let me look up this name. I think his name is Poppy. And he give you a full description too of actually what happened on these compounds with this guy. I'm trying to find it. His name is Poppy Campbell. Look up Poppy Campbell. And he'll lead you to other people that was molested by Africa Bambaataa. Wow, the time flew. So I'm just going to go back over the things that I talked about tonight. Tonight was the Know Your Difference segment. Basically, what I did was compare two people. Compare two people from the LGBT community and kind of give people some insight as to why they're different and how they are the same. First, at the top of the show, we went over what's the difference between a man and a woman. I read you what everybody said. Mostly everybody said genitalia. People gave me descriptive differences based off of behaviors. What I told you in the beginning, the difference between a man and a woman is your agreement. Yes, Hassan Campbell, Alicia, or Poppy Campbell. That's his nickname, Poppy. The difference between a man and a woman is your agreement. It's whatever you decide that you was. Whatever agreement you make with yourself. Being a man and a woman has shit to do with your genitalia. Like I said before, if it did, then you would have to explain to me intersex and exactly what their gender would be. And if you can't give me a great explanation or you actually looked into it, then you'll come to the conclusion that your gender has nothing to do with your genitalia. It's a personal agreement with yourself. You were not born, you did not come out and say I was a girl or I was a boy. You came out and all you knew was your name and you played with a bunch of shit and people told you no, don't play with that because girls play with that, or don't play with that because boys play with that, and you ain't have no fucking clue. All you knew was you were this person. And through conditioning, you either agreed that you was a girl Or do you agree, or you agreed you was a boy? In some cases, some people agreed they were something else. So, genitalia does not dictate your gender. You decide that. You make that agreement. Just like you make that agreement with everything else in this world. And your orientation. All separate things. When we all came out, we were all pomosexuals. Not homo with an H. Pomo. Meaning we ain't had no orientation. We ain't pay attention to gender. We ain't have none of that. That was all given to us. And you agreed to be that. The difference between the LGBT community, when they were given these two options, some of us opted out. I'm not this. In the case of a trans woman, which I went over that, the difference between a trans woman and a stud, or a trans woman and any woman. They're a woman. They just did what a regular woman did. Agreed that that's what they were, even though their genitalia didn't match that. See, you dictate that. Now, trans woman and a drag queen, we went through that. One is a profession. Anybody could be a drag queen. One is a woman that decided in her head that that's what she was. That's the agreement she made with herself. Now, whatever her sexual orientation is, that's just what it is. That's what she chose. Same way you're a heterosexual. True heterosexual choose to be that way. You choose what gender you are, and you go from there. Because you could have chose to be a trans, I don't know if you're a male, you could have chose to be a trans woman and then been a lesbian. Hope I'm not confusing anybody. Difference between a stud and a trans man. One is a man, one is a female. Simple. That's it. The one that I love the most, the difference between a feminine male and a gay male. Nothing visibly. Both of them agreed that they are men, right? They agree, okay, yes, I'm a man. One said I'm going to take my orientation and like men, and the other one said I'm going to take my orientation and I'm going to like females. They both said I'm going to wear flamboyant clothing. Only difference. Or, again, I hate that word, male or female, because clothes don't have no gender, or neither does behavior. Sometimes a feminine male could exhibit quote unquote female traits, but again, no trait is feminine and no trait is masculine. They're just traits. We just agreed that these things are what they are, and we need to get out of that. A stud and a femme, which still fucks me up with everybody. It just fucks me all the way up. Two women, lesbians, they just dress different. One dress comfortable, the other one dress probably a little bit more dressy. They still like females. They're lesbians. But because of society and all of these gender roles and masculinity and femininity, all this shit that really don't exist. Again, these are our agreements that we made within ourselves to believe these things. You agreed that a female is this way. You agreed that a male. And so we project them onto other people. So we believe studs and studs can't be together because that looks like two men, when really, no. They're two women. And there's no such thing as a woman can't be aggressive or whatever. She's manly, she's aggressive. No, she's not manly. She's just aggressive by nature. Or she's this by nature. Or he's a cook. Or, he likes to cry. Shouldn't be he cries because he's feminine. No. But either way, the stud and the femme is just two women. Two women that wear two different outfits and they're lesbians. Boo hoo. And then, of course, we went over with the pedos, the difference between the LGBT person and the pedophile. One is a sexual deviancy, and the other one isn't. One has consent, the other one doesn't. So, knowing the difference. Simple, self explanatory things when you work it out. But in order for you to understand my community, if you're watching and you're heterosexual, you have to take all that you were taught and rethink it. Yeah, it's not all society. Some of the community want a participation trophy, and we now have way too many labels. Well, that's just it is the community, Alicia. That's just the way America is designed. To me, it's designed to keep constant separation because if we aren't separated, then we're examining the life that we have. You get what I'm saying? So if you strip away every little label, everything, then we have to look at the bare facts of our life. And most of it is control based. I said it earlier in the show. Everything about us is dictated. How we live is controlled. How we eat is controlled and monitored. Our medicine is controlled and monitored. And we don't even realize that even our identities are controlled and monitored. Number one, being female or male or girl and boy did not exist until the 1900s. I don't know if anyone even knows that. That was something that was structured here around the time of probably a little bit after slavery or even probably during. It was a time when all of us were just simply girl. Any prepubescent person was a girl. We didn't have all those distinctions and titles and labels until we came here. You were either this or you were that. The end. But America likes that. It keeps us at war. It's like we are at war with ourselves, and then we at war in society. It's too much. Way too much. But it's 9:00. Next week I will be coming back. I hope everybody go back and tune in and watch Know the Difference so you kind of understand the differences in the community. I hope I dropped some jewels tonight when you go back and listen. I think I did. Just to sum it up, in short, everything that we believe and we got going on in this society is stuff that our minds just said, okay, I'm going along with the program. The minute we stop going along with the program, the minute things will get better. The minute I won't have a show and say to you, this is the difference. Because none of that would even matter. And that's just what it is. It's just what it is. Y'all have a good night. Watch. I want all y'all, if y'all watching, and if you're going to watch later, please take the time, especially in the pedo section. Take the time and look up some of the people that I mentioned tonight that's being swept under the rug. I know I went in as knowing the difference between a pedo and an LGBT person because that is something that needed to be defined because we are just lumped in one category. And I listen to a lot of commentary, and the greatest fear of the black man is rights being pushed for the LGBTQ person. And once that passes, then the pedo will get rights. So when I hear stuff like that, that automatically tells me you don't know the difference. And you need to know that. So look up those things and also take a look at the studies chart of when the existence of men and women was created because we weren't always that. Look up the existence of orientation. Um, in fact, I'm going to drop another jewel on y'all. If you're a historian like me, and you reach further back, you'll find out that society, according to verbal traditions or verbal histories from Africa, most people were intersex. We started out as intersex. So that's something for you to look at. Everything about what we believe, challenge it, think about it, read about it. And I'm sure you'll learn some different shit that'll open your eyes to a lot of different stuff. And then you'll be like me and you'll see the world on a different terms. And you'll understand why I am the advocate that I am and why I have a love for my community. And I have a love for everybody, but I go hard for this community because I think people, we just got a bad deal. But we shouldn't. Do your research. That's my show. Good night. Look up the stuff that I left you with. And I hope it leads you to other things. As far as the intersex stuff, look up Credo Mutwa. He will give you information from an African perspective, and you'll be shocked. It's history from before the Bible. Y'all have a good night. Love y'all. See y'all next week.
You heard?